All right.
Vale.
I have fully come to terms.
Ya lo acepté por completo.
I have
Vale,
made
podemos
space
seguir.
in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Venga, seguimos, que si no este le va a dar un... le va a dar algo.
Of course. Going back down
Por
the
supuesto,
elevator.
volver a bajar en
How did I
ascensor.
not anticipate it?
¿Cómo no lo
I
vi
mean,
venir?
sure,
Y si no,
now
¿qué
it's
querías que
obvious,
hiciera?
but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference
Vale,
to even
ahora no voy a
anticipate.
subir.
That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Vale, ahora vamos a continuar recto porque si volvemos a subir ya me va a dejar... me reinicia, directamente me reinicia.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Centro de
Control
Control Mental.
Facility.
Escape. Ahora no sé dónde ir. Control mental. Escape. Control mental. Escape. Control mental. Vale, me quedé encerrado. Vale.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Antes estaba aquí, pero allá arriba. Allí arriba estaba yo antes. Te voy a decir, este sitio me suena. Sí, yo estaba allá arriba. Vale.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each
Despedido.
bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to
Y
images on a
Stanley
screen.
era uno de ellos,
And
obviamente.
Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Vuelve a marcarme este de aquí. Ahí viene. ¿Por qué esa pantalla está en rojo? Vale. Vamos. Me quieres llevar arriba. ¿Y qué hay arriba? Pues va, llévame arriba.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ah, yo pensaba que me ibas a subir. ¿Allí, quizá?
No. He refused to believe it.
Sí.
He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible?
¿Acaso era
Had he
imposible?
truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Poco perturbador. Vale.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
En el núcleo de la
Controls
operación.
labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Vale. Pensaba que iba a pasar algo. Aquí hay una pantalla. This. Vale, nada. Mira. 1, 2. 1, 2. ¿5? Allí veo que hay un número ahí arriba. 1, 2. Vamos a subir a mirar qué número es. O no. O quizás no subamos. Por ahí al menos no. No debería llevar yo una linterna o algo para ver aquí. Vale. No estaría mal llevar una linterna o algo. Nada, que no se puede hacer nada. Tampoco. Nada. Vamos a entrar en la otra habitación. Hay 2 botones, que no sean el 3 y el 4. Oh no.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
A lo mejor, si aprieto LON, me enseña algo.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you
mira,
want?
sí.
Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is.
Fuck.
More time to talk about you,
Bueno, mira,
about
ahora hay luz.
me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what
mira, puedo
happened
subir,
to
puedo subir.
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
Estoy muerto.
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
Estoy muerto, me quedan 36 segundos.
Only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh, dear me. What's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered
23.
buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Ahí está el 5.
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along.
Me parece que voy ganando algo de tiempo.
It's ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made
¿Y ahora qué me pides?
humble. This
Pues
is
ya lo he
no
apretado.
challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stan.
30 segundos.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big...
Adiós, empleado 427. Genial. Oh, el 3. Lo he encontrado. Demasiado tarde.
Another choice. Make it count.
1,
Or don't. It's all
2.
the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, have
3. Y se acabó. Vale. No debo apretar el... No debo intentar hacerme con el control mental. Es una bomba. ¿Y ahora? Welcome, Stanley. Bienvenido al cielo. Ah, vale, que me puedo mover. Vamos a empezar de cero porque realmente me está hasta mareando. Imagínate lo que te digo. No, ahí no me pienso meter.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale. Sigamos.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Venga, va. A la izquierda. Llegamos a la sala, seguimos para adelante. No quiero saber
Yet
nada
there
de
was
esto.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave
Es
of
que quiero probar lo del
disbelief,
código.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
Ya he descubierto dónde está el
staircase.
3, el
Stanley
4.
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vale. Muy bien.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He
Vale,
fell
dime la
to his
contraseña.
knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was
Vaya.
not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code
Vale.
so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it.
2, 8, 4, 5.
Statistically,
8, 4,
nearly
5.
impossible to get. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Vale, volvemos para atrás. O sea, volvemos al ascensor y vamos a intentar poner el código según debería ir. Y sin apretar, si puede ser la autodestrucción. Vale, vamos para allá.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Vale. Listo. Ah, es verdad, tengo que pasar por aquí la sala de las cámaras.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought
Ahora
to
viene el
himself.
puente.
Did he have the strength to find out?
Vamos para allá.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
Yo era el 427 o el 127, no me acuerdo.
To images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
Ahora la
eternally
buscaré.
monitored in this place
El
where
427, 427, aquí. Es en principio, creo que puedo ser yo o el 127. Me parece que es muy oscuro para ser el mío. A ver, el 127. 127, allí, aquel de allí. No, 427 soy yo, sí. Aunque me parece un poco oscuro, pero sí. Debe ser en mi sitio.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Hacemos subir el
Had
ascensor.
Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Y ahora nosotros subimos.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Vale.
But here was the
Hemos
proof,
llegado.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Vale. Vamos a ir a mirar si podemos hacer algo. Creo que no me queda más remedio que activar la máquina. O sea, que activarla, que apagarla.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Vale.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
¿Había terminado todo? No creo.
Yes.
Sí,
He
había
had
ganado.
won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
La libertad no es caso.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers
¿Dónde se habían
gone?
ido todos sus
How
colegas?
had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
¿Cómo se había
What
librado el
other
control mental?
mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to
que ya tengo el
understand,
control.
but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how
Vale,
to
no
feel.
puedo ir para atrás.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Vale. Ahora me dice que tengo que cruzar. Vale, para atrás es que no parece que no hay ninguna manera de retroceder. No me queda otro remedio más que cruzar.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to
Pero
happen.
sigue sin haber gente.
And Stanley was happy.
Sigue sin haber gente.